Hello guys, it's been a while. I'm on a little bit of a hiatus at the minute with life stuff, but I did a very quick roundup in February of what I'd watched in the first couple of weeks of February. I'm going to take you up to sort of the present day, but I'm not going to talk about all the movies I've watched because I sort of want this to be a quick one, just as a little catch up, because there are some movies that really I want to talk to you about. So let's get this all screen recorder on so we can see what we're looking at. Hope you've all been well. So, the first movie I want to talk to you about is Poor Things. So, Emma Stone as Bella Baxter. This is a very different movie. I loved this movie. I think this is going to be one you either love or hate. I loved her character. I loved the idea. I thought it was such a unique premise. Yeah, people say Frankenstein of sorts, but to me it was completely different. I loved the cinematography. I loved the sort of very obvious fake backgrounds and how beautiful everything looked. I loved the fashion choices. I loved Mark Ruffalo in it. He was a horrible character, but he was fantastic. Willem Dafoe, really enjoyed him in it as well. I just loved it. I thought it was fabulous, and I'm so glad that the Oscars recognised that. I really didn't think it would do, because I didn't think it was that kind of movie to do well at the Oscars, but Poor Things is a big thumbs up for me. 4 out of 5. The Zone of Interest, again, another Oscar winner. I think it won Best Foreign Film, didn't it? It's British. So, this is a movie set in a zone where a commandant of Auschwitz lives with his family. It's shot and filmed very differently from the usual kind of movies. It wants to have a sort of almost a voyeuristic look at this family. Overhear conversations, everything's cameras placed in specific places rather than someone following you around. I didn't love this as much as everyone else. I felt that sounds that we hear, so what's going on in Auschwitz is very much a background thing that almost build the soundtrack in the background. We hear the atrocities, the screaming. We follow this normal family and what's going on, what's happening with them. I liked it. I didn't love it, I have to admit. I gave it a 3 out of 5. I didn't think it was as groundbreaking as everyone was saying. It's maybe a personal thing. It just, something like The Boy in the Striped Pajamas just hit me for 6. This one, not so much. Obviously, we weren't directly dealing with the atrocities in the concentration camps. We were more... I just wanted to see a bit more of realization from the wife and the kids as to what was going on, as to what those screams are, as to what's happening. And I fail to believe that that woman, I believe that the wives knew exactly what was happening, but there didn't seem to be much conversation around it. There was very sort of oh well, yeah, I remember I worked with her, or I worked for her. It was very sort of a dismissive sort of, maybe that's how things were, but I would expect the children at least to be very curious, and for it to make an extremely difficult conversation for the adults, and for the adults to have that conversation with the children as to why Mrs. Whoever that used to live up the street is in there, and why people are screaming, and where their daddy's going. And I would have liked to have seen more confrontational, and that, I don't think that's what the movie was about, but that it would have made it more effective for me. I'm not going through all of these, guys, don't worry. It's just these 3 are in a row and I just want to talk about them. I want to talk about Spaceman with Adam Sandler, because I feel like everyone and their dog hates it. It's hit Netflix recently and I absolutely loved this movie. People are saying it's really boring. He goes into space for quite a long... During a research mission, an astronaut discovers that his marriage is in trouble. Luckily, he has the help of a mysterious creature hidden in his ship. So he's in space for a long period of time, and there's this big giant spider that he talks to. Now that sounds a bit ridiculous. This movie really touched me. It really affected me. We go through flashbacks of his relationship. Is it marriage? Yeah, it's marriage. And where it all went wrong, and it's slowly declining, and this spider really is almost here like a conscience. I just found it a really beautiful, touching movie, and I think some people it will work for and some it won't. It really worked for me. My husband really enjoyed it as well, and I'm hearing people bashing it everywhere. I know Aaron from Screen Stars watched it, and I know he enjoyed it too, but I loved it. Completely. Paul Dano voices the spider. I would really recommend it. If you haven't watched it because everyone's saying it's crap, give it a chance. Sit down, pay attention, don't phone scroll, listen to what's going on, and I think you will get something from it. So I give that a 4 out of 5. I loved it. Really, really moved me. You're Not Alone Fighting the Wolf Pack is really difficult to watch. It's a Netflix documentary. I'm not going to go into detail because I don't want to be here all day, but it is very, very good. It's very in-depth. It's very angering. Yosei Takreo. I still remember the placards that were being held up all over the world about this. If you like a good true crime documentary, watch that one. It's difficult, but it's very good. Roadhouse, the remake, I thought it was awful. Conor McGregor made me laugh like crazy, but not because his acting was specifically good. I just found it really funny. Jake Gyllenhaal looks fucking fine in this. He's a beautiful man, but he's too good for this kind of movie. I mean, he did Ambulance. I'm not a Michael Bay fan, guys. You don't throw all the effects at it at the expense of a story. I was like, what are you doing? And then he did a remake of, it may have been a Danish movie, where he played the emergency dispatch person who gets a woman on the line that's been kidnapped, and it was so dull compared to the original. This guy started off with Donnie Darko. This guy was in Brokeback Mountain. What's he doing? He's got such talent, and he's choosing these projects that I don't feel showcases how talented he is as an actor. Next one was the Diane Nyad story. It's an interesting documentary. If you've seen the movie Nyad with Jodie Foster and I've forgotten her name, I'm a disgrace, about the woman Diane Nyad that swims from, right, Lisa doesn't even know where she swims, but it's 101 miles, I think. Ridiculous. And it's the story behind the preparations. Now, one thing I didn't like about this, Diane Nyad tries it multiple times and fails. Spoiler, she does eventually do it, because if she didn't, what would the point of the documentary be? But they film all these attempts in detail, but the one where she does it, there's no detail. It just shows her arriving on the beach, and I wanted to see that one, you know, a bit more detail. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Went to the cinema to see this the other day, was very disappointed, I have to say. I loved Afterlife, especially the ending. I found it really moving to see the other Ghostbusters back again. I felt in this Bill Murray was shoehorned in, like someone else said it. He was like a cardboard cutout that someone had put, there you go. And he was so stiff, and it's like he didn't want to be there. Dan Aykroyd, I felt worked well. I have to look up her name, McKenna Grace. I think she's fantastic. I love the character of, is it Riley? What's her name? Why have I forgotten her name? Right, so that's great. I've forgotten her name. So Spangler, whatever I want to say Riley, but I don't know if that's right. I really like her character. I know she annoys a lot of people, but to me, she is a typical teenager. But one of the issues I had with this is how educated and intelligent she is. The choices that she makes in this movie are just brain numbing. As someone else mentioned, Jamie Powell, loads of the things that we saw in the trailer weren't even in the movie. Kumail Nanjiani, I'm probably pronouncing that completely wrong, I quite liked. He was a very irritating character, but I liked him. But he harnessed powers way too fast. I mean, 1 minute you don't know what you're doing, the next minute, you know. I looked down at my phone to find out what McKenna Grace's name was, and I'm trying to get it up in this. I'm in the back row, nobody can see me, don't worry. I'm not one of them people. And I'm looking, nobody else is anywhere near me. And by the time I found who McKenna Grace was and what she'd been in, the end fight was over. I'm like, what's happened? It was so fast. It seemed to like crawl over. To me, they needed another half hour onto that movie. I don't mind the slow build up. I like all that. Another point, Leo from Geek Legion who did mention this, when we see like this place where there are like these monsters in containment units, there's one specific one that's a scary looking bugger. I'm sure you know who he is if you've seen it. He's not used. At one point there's a power cut and like everything that's holding these monsters in their little cells goes down, and you're thinking, oh shit, this bugger's gonna get out, and they do nothing with it. Nothing happens. It's disappointing. Now you'll see I have given it a 3 out of 5. I gave it a 3 out of 5 because I feel the acting was fine. Special effects were on point. To me the best part was when the song kicked in. You just can't help but feel that nostalgia when you hear the song, but I just felt so much disappointment. I have to give it 3 out of 5 when I think of some other movies I watch and give similar scores. Like example, Poor Things and Spaceman, I gave 4s, and I'm giving Ghostbusters with that massive budget a 3. So yeah, I was very disappointed. I didn't think it was absolutely terrible, but I felt that it wasted so much opportunity. It was over too fast. People were in there that should. What the point? Finn Wolfhard was barely in there, and a character that we see back with Finn Wolfhard, which I'm sure everyone knows, but I won't mention it just in case. Why wasn't that person in it more? I mean, oh. Okay, I'm not going to talk about Lisa Frankenstein. I didn't like it. I just thought it was a bit pants. It felt like it should have been a musical. The guy that plays her boyfriend so would have been played by Johnny Depp about 30 years ago. Marmalade, I'm trying to... Yes, so Marmalade is a movie that's just hit Prime, I believe, with Joe Keery and Camilla Monroe. It's an interesting little movie. I did enjoy it. I didn't think it was absolutely incredible, but I enjoyed it. I give that a 3 out of 5. Coming Home in the Dark is one I watched for Geek Legion of Doom. I have reviewed that over on Leo's channel. That will be coming up at some stage. And finally, yesterday I went to the cinema to see Immaculate. I've been hearing an awful lot about this. Sydney Sweeney of the big boobies, that's all anybody seems to talk about. I love this. Absolutely loved it. There was only 3 of us in the entire cinema. There was a couple in front of me and then me. It is slow to build, slow through the middle, which again, I've said it before, I don't mind. I like a good building story. As a character, she's Sister Cecilia, she's very believable. El Professor from Money Heist's in this. Oh, he's a sexy guy. He plays the priest, sexy priest. What's his name? Alvaro Morte. I don't know if that's him, it probably is. And I'm watching it and I didn't even recognise him, even though he looks exactly the same without the glasses. That's all the change there was. But I heard his voice at one point. I'm thinking that's flipping El Professor from Money Heist. And it was. So that was a nice, pleasant, you know, I may not be able to appreciate Sydney Sweeney, but I can appreciate El Professor, which he will always be to me. So yeah, Sydney Sweeney is a very beautiful woman. She proves in this that she's got fantastic acting chops. She's not just a beautiful woman. It is, as I say, quite slow, middle and start, but the ending is brilliant. I would change one tiny little thing. I'm not going to give... If you've seen it, you'll know what I mean by this. If you haven't, you won't have a clue what I'm talking about. There's something that we don't see. There's a particular scene and there's a thing that we don't see, and I wanted to see the thing, to see how it compared to other things that were shown earlier. If you've seen the movie, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But it doesn't let us see the thing. The scenes at the end where there's scenes at the end where she's screaming, and they're so iconic, and it reminded me so much of that scene from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, from the back of the truck when it's driving away and she's screaming and the blood's all down her face. It reminded me a lot of that. She definitely can scream, Sydney Sweeney, we'll give her that. I loved it. I gave it a 4 out of 5. I thoroughly recommend going to check it out. I don't feel you need to see it in the cinema. If, you know, I know cinema prices are shocking these days. Spooky Astronauts, I was watching, and she said the average cost of a cinema ticket in Australia is about $28. And I'm thinking, flipping hell. But then when I came home and compared that to pounds, which we have, it's about half. So the average price of a cinema ticket in Australia is about 14 British pounds, 28 Australian dollars. So I thought that was, in our really posh screen here, with the recliners, and it's called Lux, is £12, and for our normal bog standard screens that don't have any like extras, it's £8.50, so it's a lot cheaper here, thankfully, to watch a movie. So yeah, thoroughly recommend Immaculate. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. I loved it. I can't say there was anything I would change about it apart from wanting a little look at something that it didn't show us. That's it. But was it enough to spoil my enjoyment? No. The guy in front of me at the end was there with his girlfriend, and he turned around to me at the end and he goes, "What did you think of that?" I says, "I really liked it." He says, "But it all went a bit mad at the end, didn't it?" And I says, "Yeah, and I loved it." He says what he thought it was a bit much. He thought it went too far at the end, but I thought, oh, kick ass. I loved it. So yeah, big thumbs up for Immaculate from me. Thank you for watching if you have. I know I haven't been here for a little while. My videos will be a little bit less often at the moment with just life and parent stuff going on. So yeah, I am trying to still watch your videos as and when I can. But yeah, I just wanted to really talk about a few of those films. Poor Things, Spaceman, Immaculate. I just really wanted, and obviously Ghostbusters, I wanted to talk to you about them. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Until next time. Over and out from Lisa Loves.